You're doing intermittent fasting all wrong. If I'm going to share the common pitfalls I see all the time that can sabotage your fat loss and actually make you gain weight instead. So the first one is not syncing your circadian rhythm. Ignoring your body's natural clock can mess with your metabolism. That means eating too late in the day or at odd hours. It can disrupt your insulin sensitivity, and that means increased fat storage. There was a 2021 review in Nutrients Journal's special issue on diet, obesity, and type 2 diabetes and hypertension that emphasized that our internal clock regulates vital hormonal activities that control metabolism, influencing how we process food, sleep, and manage body weight. Now, our modern lifestyle, which often includes irregular meal times, night shifts, and late night eating, disrupt these natural rhythms. This mismatch between our biological and social clocks can impair insulin efficiency and hinder fat loss. Practices like time-restricted eating, which align meal times with daylight hours, can help synchronize eating schedules with circadian rhythms, enhancing metabolic health. Optimal meal times are recommended in the morning and early afternoon to maximize the efficiency of metabolic processes and prevent metabolic disorders. And I want to do a big shout out here to Dr. Sachin Panda and their Circadian Code, where he talks about this and really focusing on getting our calories in during the day, during the sunlight, and when we're active. So here's how I take this information and put it into use. I match my eating to my circadian clock. So in the morning, I eat about 2 hours after I wake up. The reason I wait about 2 hours is I want to give time for my pancreas to get online so it's ready to secrete insulin when I eat. I also stop eating 3 hours before bed. Now, I'd love it to be 4 hours. My hard rule is at least 2, but ideally it's somewhere 2 to 4 hours before bed. A little longer is better. Think about that. If you are sleeping 8 hours or so, you're in bed 8 hours or so, and you just stopped eating 3 hours before bed, and you ate about 2 hours earlier in the morning, you already have somewhere in the 10 to 12 hour eating window right there. Point number 2, if you get too hungry, and that's overeating during feeding windows. I know they talk about fast and feast, but don't take the feast too literally, right? It's tempting to compensate for the fasting period by like going a little crazy and eating much more during your allowed eating times. Just because you've compressed your eating window, isn't it giving you a free-for-all during that time? Because it's easy to consume more calories than you burn, and guess what happens if you eat more than you can burn? You're gonna wear it. There was a comprehensive review in 2017 issue of Current Diabetes Reports that illustrated how caloric restriction can play a critical role in enhancing the benefits of intermittent fasting, particularly when you're doing this for weight loss. However, you really got to make sure that you don't get into the binge eating after fasting. That's the big important thing here, to make sure that you're maintaining these long-term health improvements that you'd get from this. So how do I do this? I know me, and if I get too hungry, it's really bad news for me. I will overeat. So I refer to point number 1, and I make sure that I'm working with my optimal circadian rhythm. For me, and I'm an N of 1, we're all different, right? I find that I'm hungrier early in their day. Like, I do really well eating about 2 hours after I wake up in the morning. If I was gonna skip a meal, generally it would be dinner. That's when I'm not as hungry later in the day. And in fact, sometimes we'll end up, going out later with friends, and I'm kind of like, I'm done. Like, I'm not even hungry at this point. Figure out what works best for you, because here's the deal. Even if you're eating healthy, if you're overeating, too much healthy food is not healthy. Now, one thing I'm not really worried about you overeating on, I'm more worried about you not getting enough of, is protein. Because when you combine protein, not getting enough, with caloric restriction, you have a recipe for muscle loss. In fact, what do we know? 25 to 40% muscle loss happens from most poorly designed diets. So you hear a lot about muscle loss with things like semaglutide. It's actually not the drug, it's the diet. There was a study done in 2006. It was a non-randomized controlled trial. It was an animal study. It was published in the FASEB journal, and it found that caloric restriction without sufficient protein diminishes muscle strength and mass and contributes to overall reduced muscle function. And again, that is significant for any type of diet. So any diet that doesn't have enough protein and you're not eating, you're not doing resistance training, will cause muscle loss. We want to avoid that at all costs. So what's my strategy to make sure that this doesn't happen to you? Eat protein first. And we're going to weigh and track your protein, because that way we know you're getting what you need. And the other thing that I love here, here's my hack, is to also take some essential amino acids with it. Every morning I take essential amino acids alongside my breakfast. I'm also starting to do them as dinner as well, just so I make sure that my muscles have what they need to rebuild. Now, I have a 7-day Eat Protein First challenge that makes it super easy for you to start increasing your protein intake. What's cool is it comes with a little calculator so you can figure out how much protein you need. Plus, it's got great recipes and all of my best tips, and you can get that at jjvirgin.com/7day, and that's the number 7. Now, along with not getting enough protein, the other big challenge is choosing low quality foods. We talked about breaking your fast and eating too much. We also want to watch what you're eating, because we've got to make sure that you're getting that nutrient density. So if you break your fast with foods that are like high in sugar or bad fats, you know, the crappy ultra processed foods, guess what? That's going to spike your insulin and your blood sugar. It can lower your metabolic rate. We know that about ultra-processed foods. They actually can lower your metabolic rate. So what do we need? We need to make sure that what you're eating counts, that every calorie counts, that you're getting nutrient-dense foods that support your goals. Things like, of course, that clean protein, loads of non-starchy vegetables, little bit of fruit. There was a study in 2021, it was a review in the Nutrients Journal, that underscores that breaking a fast with high-quality, nutrient-rich foods can positively affect metabolism and insulin resistance, which supports the idea that the intersection between diet quality and the timing of food intake is critical, and that what you eat after fasting can significantly impact your health outcomes. Circadian rhythmicity affects both eating behavior and multiple gut functions, as well as the composition and interactions of the microbiome with the gut. Neglecting hydration. So fasting can make it easy to forget about staying hydrated, and dehydration, as you know, can slow down metabolism and increase hunger signals, which could just cause you to eat more. There was a 2022 observational study that was published in Frontiers in Nutrition that found that people often don't drink enough water and beverages during fasting, which can lead to dehydration. Researchers discovered that the most common drinking pattern during Ramadan is 2-4-2. By the way, that's 2 glasses at sunset, 4 glasses at nighttime, 2 glasses pre-dawn. So, what do we do with this information? And this is a biggie, because even mild dehydration we know can slow down weight loss, raise cortisol, but more importantly can actually take glycogen out of the liver, convert it to fructose, and make you store it as fat. So let's avoid this. Here's what I do. I make sure that I literally carry around a 64-ounce bottle of water a day. That is my minimum. You want to have half your body weight plus 1/2 to 1 ounce per minute of exercise. And what I like to do in there too is I add in my electro-replenish. So I'm adding in my electrolytes as well to at least 1 serving a day. If I'm sweating a lot, I do it to 2 servings a day. And I'd rather err on a little bit more water than a little bit less. And then finally, let's talk about skipping micronutrients, because one of the things we want to make sure is that everything is counting, that you're eating very nutrient dense, but likely when you're eating less frequently, your body not getting everything that it needs, and your body still needs all of the stuff. It needs the vitamins and the minerals, essential fatty acids, right? The essential amino acids. So you got to make sure that you're getting this, because neglecting this, of course, is going to impact your body's overall health and can impact your body's ability to lose weight too. There was a 2020 randomized controlled trial published in Clinical Nutrition that looked at macronutrient and micronutrient intake following the 5-2 intermittent fasting diet. And what that study found was that several micronutrients, including calcium and zinc and magnesium and potassium, were lower than what was recommended during the guidelines for those fasting days. And despite the fact that they could eat what they wanted on the non-fasting days, they couldn't make up those deficiencies. So intermittent fasting could lead to insufficiencies in your micronutrients. So what's my tip on that? I think that we all need to be taking a good multivitamin, mineral, antioxidant formula. This to me is your health assurance policy. Super duper important. All right, now earlier I talked about how important protein is, especially when it comes to keeping you satisfied and keeping cravings away. So in this next video, I'm sharing 3 high protein meals that are my go-tos for getting my protein every day. They're super easy and help keep your energy up all day so you aren't sidelined by cravings in between meals and during your fasting window.